All right, all right, all right. What's up, everybody? We are back with another Phins forecast show. Dolphins fans, any other fans, welcome in. We are talking about outside linebackers. We are talking about edge rushers. We are talking about off-ball linebackers. It's going to be a fun show because there's a lot of really good players, really intriguing players to talk about tonight. First and foremost, I'm going to introduce my co-host, Taylor. How you doing tonight, man?
I am doing fantastic. We only have two more shows, fellas, until we
Yeah,
are in full preseason
yeah,
coverage on the Fins forecast. And most likely going back live. I'm excited, but I'm more excited to get into our final two positional breakdowns. Well, I guess final four
yeah.
because we got linebackers, edge rushers, corners, and safeties. But
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
man, really excited to get into this group here today.
Yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun. Like I said, there's a lot of intriguing players to talk about. Taylor, first and foremost, love the new background. I don't know that I commented on the last show. I don't even know that it was up on the last show, but I love the new background. Really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Great addition.
Appreciate it,
Yeah.
man. Shout out to my buddy Lane. He gifted this to me. Said, "Hey, you need to get something in the background." So shout out to him.
Well, you know what? It looks great, man. It looks great. Josh, how are you doing tonight, man?
You know what? I'm doing all right, fellas. I'm doing all right, fellas. I had this show earmarked. I was
Yeah.
very excited about, diving into the edge rushers, diving into some of the new linebackers that we got and how they're going to contribute to the team. But most importantly, I'm excited to chop it up with you guys yet again here on our podcast. So,
Yeah.
let's get to it, fellas.
Yeah, so it's always great to chop it up with you guys. It's always great to talk football with you guys, talk Miami Dolphins football with you guys. And like I said, tonight we're doing edge rushers, we're doing off-ball linebackers. Now, look, first and foremost, it warrants being said, last season was kind of a weird season as far as this whole position group went. You know, we started off with David Long Jr. being one of our starting middle linebackers, and he was just terrible. He was god awful. And then the Dolphins released him, brought in Tyrell Dodson. At the start of the season, Jaelan Phillips was here. We thought we were getting Bradley Chubb back. Chop Robinson was a rookie. He was kind of proving himself. But the thing is that in spite of the fact that there was so much turnover, so much going on, it never felt like this whole group was a weakness for the Dolphins last year. Not to me at least. You know, I think Jordan Brooks held down the fort really well. I think Chop Robinson came on towards the end of the season. He was one of the most disruptive edge rushers towards the end of the season. So first and foremost, I want your guys' thoughts on the unit as a whole from last year. Josh, tell me, like, what were your thoughts on the unit from last year?
Yeah, honestly, I think it was very as a media guy, right? As we are media people now.
Yes, we are.
It was very cool to watch because to watch this team plug and play, right? They were clearly playing chess, right, with the pieces that they had whether it be because of injury or players playing poorly and being released and spots being opened and then other players coming in and deciding to retire at the last minute before the season starts. And, so many things and none of it, like, look, it is what it is, right? I mean, that's part of that's part of the NFL, right? You have players that play well one season and forget how to play football the next, and players decide to retire and unretire and then retire again. And then you have injuries. And I thought it was a testament to both Weaver, right?
Yeah.
And the defensive coaching staff and the players that played, because a lot of them played various positions that necessarily they weren't brought in for, right? Or that they weren't known to, or wasn't their kind of, if you will, their main position on the team. And everyone that played stepped up. I thought, I mean, from the rookies to the veterans, I thought it was really, really cool to see. It was really fun to watch. Chop Robinson come into his own. It was really cool watching, Jordan Brooks coming in and just being a monster again, right? And getting a contract extension because of it. It was cool watching us pick up Dotson, right? And I was a huge fan of him on Seattle. And the fact that we got him, I mean, for essentially a bag of peanuts, he came in and he played very well. I mean, albeit sparingly in some cases, but played extremely well. And it was just really, really cool. It was really, this was one of the position groups, this being edge / linebacker. So I guess 2 position groups, if you will, that really kind of weathered the storm in a very mature way. And it was really cool to watch.
Yeah, I agree. And, you mentioned Shaq Barrett. I didn't even mention him. I didn't even think about him when I was thinking about, how I was going to introduce this group. And Shaq Barrett that was another one. It was just threw us for a loop. It was just a weird season overall as far as this position group was concerned. Taylor, what were your thoughts on last season?
Yeah, when you're setting a table for everything that happened with the linebacker group, with the edge rusher group, man, it really, you forget how strange it was last year. And like you said, it wasn't nearly as bad. You go back to late 2023, right? When Phillips goes down, when Chubb goes down, and the Dolphins are scrounging for anybody in free agency. It was Melvin Ingram, come on down. Who was the
WB King?
Yeah,
come on down.
Yeah, Justin Houston, come on down. Big fan of Justin Houston back in the day. Big fan of Melvin Ingram. These are 2 old vets who are basically being asked to be the main pass rushers at that point.
Yeah.
And it did not work. So, like you said, going into 2024 with players coming back from injury, Chubb still injured, didn't play the entire season, you expect it to be another disaster. But as you said, Keith, Chop Robinson comes in, does his thing, actually ends up being a promising part of this defense where a lot of people were, including myself, were really hoping he'd just not really be, I don't want to say not noticed, but be a third rotational piece with the other 2 guys. Instead, he was asked to be the main guy, and I thought he did an excellent job. Jordan Brooks, similar thing. David Long's the guy. We just want you to be the second linebacker. David Long, inexplicably, goes from we should re-sign him in a heartbeat to he's out of the league, and I still don't understand why. One of the strangest situations I've seen in my life.
Insane. I've never seen a fall off that drastic or that substantial in my life. In my entire life, I've never seen a player go from what looked like a Pro Bowl snub and a player that deserved a massive contract. I mean, not massive contract extension, big enough to keep him, to a player that's now been cut by 3 teams in a year and change. It's insane.
And I'm going to look at the comments. People, please comment if there's anybody who you think has had a bigger drop-off than David Long from 2023 to 2024. I'd like to hear it because I'm right there with Josh. I've never seen it in my lifetime. But Jordan Brooks comes in, exceptional job. Dotson comes in to basically replace what Brooks was supposed to be, exceptional job. So the 2024 linebacker class, edge rusher class, surprisingly solid.
Yeah,
I mean, here's the list, right? And we're talking about 2025, but just for context, for everyone that's watching and for us, keep in the back of your mind, these are the players and I'm that we had last year. So Jaelan Phillips, Chop Robinson, Emmanuel Ogbah, right? Those were the edge kind of outside linebacker players. The edge / rotational players were Quentin Bell, Mo Kamara, Cameron Good, Matt Dickerson. Inside linebacker starters, Jordan Brooks, Anthony Walker Jr., Shaquille Barrett when we had him, and then he didn't because he decided he didn't want to play anymore, or at least not with us. And then the inside linebacker contributors, KJ Britt, Tyrell Dotson, our fan favorite, Duke Riley, and Daquan Jackson, right? I mean, so you look at that list and, it's uninspiring in a lot of cases.
Especially given the fact that, if I'd have told you David Long was going to have the drop off that he had and Jaelan Phillips was only going to last a couple of games and, tear his ACL. And if I'd have told you everything that happened last year and told you they would, and Chubb not playing, and told you they would still be solid, you would have told me I was nuts. You would have told me I was out of my mind. So you're right, Josh. That is a testament to Anthony Weaver, first and foremost. Mike McDaniel, for kind of holding everything together.
How dare you? I know we have problems with Mike McDaniel, but come on now, guys. We can't be comparing him to Josh McDaniels.
Those are apples and potatoes.
I apologize, everybody. So, with all that being said, we're going to get into these guys, player by player. And, we're going to keep in mind that hopefully this season isn't going to be as weird as last season. And if this season isn't as weird as last season, we should see an uptick in these guys' play. As a matter of fact, when I look at this group, I think, when I look at the edge rushers, when I look at the off-ball linebackers, I think this is going to be the strength of the Dolphins' defensive unit. That's just me going into this. So we're going to start off on the edge. We're going to start off with Chubb Robinson. Now, of course, he was the first-round pick in the 2024 draft. And he came on and he started off slowly, and we all commented on it. I've said on multiple occasions on this show, when Chop was drafted, I wanted a guard. I wanted a Jackson Powers Johnson, a Graham Barton. I wanted a guy in that mold. And when the Dolphins drafted Chop Robinson, I was not a happy camper. As the season wore on, I'm happy to just proclaim it here right on this show. I was wrong. I was wrong about Chop Robinson. And I remember, Josh, you and I got into a fairly heated debate earlier on in the season about this. You were
Yes, we
right.
did.
I was wrong. You were right. I was wrong. So,
hey, you know what? I take no pleasure in saying this, but yes, you're right. No, I'm kidding. I just messed
no,
with
you should take pleasure in saying it because Chop Robinson turned out to be a really good draft pick for the Miami Dolphins. And towards the end of the season, I would say he was probably one of the top 10 most disruptive pass rushers in the league.
Well, he was.
Yeah.
He was number one, I think, in the NFL in pressure rates, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And if it wasn't for Jared Verse having the season that he had for the Los Angeles Rams, I think Chop Robinson would have gotten a lot more play as Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
So, Josh, tell us more about Mr. Chop Robinson.
Yeah, you hit it on the head, right? Drafted by us last year, first round, kind of not out of nowhere. If you kind of read the tea leaves and kind of listened to some of the reporting and read between the lines, and you could speak Morse code, you could interpret Morse code. You could see the direction and possibly. I was with you, Keith. I wanted Jackson Powers Johnson more so than I've wanted a player in a very long time.
Yeah.
But when we drafted Chop Robinson, yes, I was caught off guard, right? Because it wasn't somebody that I had on my mock drafts and all of the things that we do in the off season. But man, he turned in a very good season. I mean, yes, we talked about it on the show. To your point, it was a very slow start. It was a little troubling. It was a little concerning. He very limited pass rush. He lacked a lot of strength. He had an amazing first step, really great burst, which is what got him into some of the positions. But what did we say? He was always a half a step late to get a sack, right? Because if he got those sacks for the first half of the season, he'd probably have put up 14 sacks total on the season, right? With the way he ended, with the way the season ended for him. Looking at his contract, right? Just because I'm a contract head, right? Before I pass it over to Taylor to talk about all of his fun stats and whatnot. His 2025 cap hit is projected to be around $3.4 million as a first round pick. He did sign a 4-year contract with a 5th-year team option. So it was a 5-year total contract. His base salary is $964,000 with about $515K ish of roster bonus, which makes his cap hit what it was. So, for his production and the assumption that he's going to improve, right? And knock on wood, we don't know. We just got done outlining a perfect example of what can happen from one year to another from a drop-off standpoint. The fact that, and I don't want to, go through his 2024 statistics yet. I will leave that to my co-host over there. However, if he can continue to build on what was at the end of his rookie season, a very, very good rookie year, man, this dude's going to be dangerous for many. I mean, I could see him, assuming the trajectory continues, being one of the top defensive ends in this league.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not next year, but in due time, right? Assuming he continues the trajectory.
But again, like Josh, you said, towards the end of the year, he had the top pressure rate in the NFL. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility to say this guy could ascend to the point where he's one of the top pass rushers in the NFL this season.
And that's kind of what he was chopped up to be. No pun intended there. Like he was the all potential.
I see what you did there.
Freak that people were like, it all just has to come together for him, and he can be one of the top guys in this league. And a lot of times, I do think whether let's just say the heat of the moment, the emotion of the show gets in, and maybe we exaggerate a little bit. But when Josh goes, Chop Robinson could be one of the best defensive ends in this league. There's no hyperbole there. Like he legitimately has the talent. Like he really does.
And what was really cool to see him do is when you saw in the first 4 games, and we talked about it on the show. He had a great first step, he had a great spin move, but he lacked power, right? He was a liability of sorts. That's a tough word. That's a strong word to talk about him, but let's just use it for now, right? He was a liability in the run game at the beginning of the season. Now I think that's a little harsh, but that's what was touted, right? That's what it was. That's the label that was put on him. He's a speed rusher with a great first step, but he sucks in the run game. And
no
you
production
watch
in college.
Exactly.
Well, his last year in college.
Yeah, exactly. And you watch the progression, right? Week to week, quarter of the season to quarter of the season. And you saw him clearly have put in the work. He bulked up. He got stronger. He became one of our best run defenders, in my opinion, on the team. And that's a team with quite a few good run stoppers on there, right? From the interior defensive line from last year and some of the linebackers. And he was a force in all phases of the game. He even got better at dropping into coverage when he was asked to, which was not a thing that he was asked to do a lot last year, at least based on my recollection. So it was just really cool to see a rookie come in and do the things that rookies should do, not get kind of full of themselves and not think that they're right. Complacent. Thank you. I was trying to filibuster until my brain would catch up, but yes, he didn't get complacent, right? He didn't come in and say, I was a first round pick. This is owed to me. He came in and said, I'm a first round pick that has things to work on. I'm going to put in the effort so that I can show the world that they made a mistake waiting until the 20 for I'm going to show the 20 teams that passed on me. They shouldn't have passed on me. And I thought that was really, and you could see it, right? You could see it in his eyes and the way he talked and the way his mannerisms and the reporting of what he did in the locker room and how he held himself up with versus the vets and interjected himself into multiple position rooms to learn from various professionals. It was really cool to see, man. It was a really cool story.
Absolutely. So Taylor, you're going to get into the nitty gritty. You're going to fill in the cracks here for Chop Robinson. So talk to us.
All right. So just real quick, Keith, you were talking about not being happy about drafting Chop Robinson. I was somewhat there. I won't say I was there with you. I think I was more like, fine, I guess. And the reason why is, like you, I was like, let's get a guard. You know who I really liked in that draft? Troy Fatanu, who ends up going to the Steelers. I think a pick before the Dolphins.
Yes, it was.
Who else did I like? Talise Fuaga, who ended up going to the Saints a few picks before the Dolphins. Okay, if you're going to get a defensive end, the guy who I think is ready to go right now, I think he's going to be a stud. Go get Jared Verse. Well, he goes right before the Dolphins. Yeah. So whenever Chop Robinson's picked, it's just one of those situations where I just threw my hands in there and I was like, fine, I guess. I was just so pissed off with the way that draft fell for the Dolphins that anybody I think would have gave me that feeling. And just like, fine, whatever. I'm just going to be pissed off the rest of the night because every one of my picks got taken. But considering what Chop Robinson did in 2024, he's completely changed my mind. No major injuries in 2024, thankfully. Knock on wood there. 17 games played, of course. 16 solo tackles, 26 total tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 0 forced fumbles, 0 fumble recoveries, 6 sacks, 20 pressures, 6 hurries, 7 QB knockdowns, 3 batted passes, 5 missed tackles. He had a 16.1% missed tackle percentage. And in terms of awards, he has no awards so far. He did come in 5th for Defensive Rookie of the Year. And before I throw it over to you, Keith, all these stats I'm going to be talking about today are from Pro Football Reference, ESPN, and Sports Reference.
Yeah, I think the fact that he finished 5th was criminal.
Well,
absolutely criminal.
I don't know that it's criminal, Josh. I just think it's more so an indictment on how he wasn't ready the first part of the season.
Sure.
And you saw that. He was a half step short. There was 1 sack on Josh Allen. He had him wrapped and just kind of let him go. And Josh Allen got out of it and got a positive play for the Bills. It was just, I don't think Chop Robinson was ready to be thrown into the deep end of the pool just yet. But injuries to Bradley Chubb never came back. Injury to Jaelan Phillips, it kind of just, necessitated throwing Chop Robinson into the deep end of the pool and seeing if he can swim. And he kind of floundered in the deep end of the pool for a while, to beat this analogy to death. He kind of floundered in the deep end of the pool for a little while and finally learned how to swim towards the end of the season. If you extrapolate the second half of the season into the first half, you've got a much more cogent argument to make him, the defensive rookie of the year. I still don't think he beats out Jared Verse because Jared Verse was just insane for the Rams last year.
And as a Florida State guy, I loved him, and I wanted us to take Brandon Fisk in the first round. I was a big fan of his.
Top 5 here, by the way.
Yeah,
Jared Verse, of course, number 1.
Yeah.
We got Quinyon Mitchell, who was voted second.
He was very good for the Eagles last year.
Yep, he was excellent for the Eagles. And Braden Fisk, Josh's guy, coming in third. Cooper DeJean was fourth, and then Chop Robinson. So you had 2 Rams and 2 Eagles.
Yeah, I get that. Amazing. I would switch Fisk. For me, I would have switched Fisk and Chop, to be completely candid. I understand Fisk was very disruptive. I'm a Florida State guy. I love both of those players. But the fact that Chop was like, what was he? He had the highest double team rate in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. He was, I forgot what the percentage was for his pressure rate, but he was number 1 or 2, not for rookies in the NFL. Yeah. Like not just rookies in the entire NFL. He was number 1 or 2 in pressure rates. I mean, I don't know. I think it was a little criminal, but
I hear what you're saying. And I also think that, he was playing for a team that was, kind of floundering for most of the season, not a playoff team, not a true contender. Whereas the Rams and Eagles were in it till the end, honestly. But again, I think if Chop Robinson, if he plays a little bit better in the beginning part of the season, and again, I don't hold that against him, you're probably talking about him amongst Quinyon Mitchell and
for sure,
and Jared Verse. So look, totally understandable. But I think what we're looking for Chop Robinson this season is to take the next step. He now has Bradley Chubb, Jaelan Phillips playing with him. He has Zach Sealer playing with him, obviously. He's not going to see as many double teams, and that should bring up his production. That should help his production immensely.
Yeah, my only fear is that with both of those guys coming back, I wonder how much his playing time, what impact is going to be had. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we'll see, though. We'll see how it goes. I do think the fact that he, assuming Phillips and Chubb come back healthy and are playing at the rate that they were playing pre-injury, he is going to see the third option or the fourth option, right? Which is going to, by nature, help, right? Because teams by the end of the season knew he was our top pass rusher outside of maybe Zach Sealer from the inside, right? But from an outside standpoint, teams knew to key on him, right? With whether it be double teams with a tight end and a tackle or whatever the case was, or a running back, or bump and run kind of thing. But we'll see, man. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see the leap that he takes, and I hope that it's a leap. I hope it's not a step backwards, right? And watching him progress this season, this is one of the rookies in a very long time where I felt very confident to say I think that he's going to have a better second year than he did first year, which is not something you can say with confidence and or with a regular basis. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. I think, I think again with Chubb coming back, with Phillips coming back, you should see less double teams. You should see a little bit more open space for a player with his explosiveness. I agree. I think, we should see him really flourish this season. And I think going into this season, I wouldn't be surprised if Chop Robinson, gets 10 plus sacks. I wouldn't be surprised if Chop Robinson, I wouldn't be surprised if he contends for a Pro Bowl this season. So, and that's kind of the expectation that I have for Chop Robinson this season. Maybe it's too lofty. I don't know. But
so what's your projection for him from a sack standpoint?
10 plus. You
Yeah.
know, like let's say 11. I'll say,
Okay.
you know, I'll project him for 11
That's a good number.
sacks, and I think he's going to be. I can see him being a Pro Bowler this season. I really can.
Yeah, I have a little bit less because I think his playing time is going to take a hit, right? So I have him at a projection roughly around 9, which if his playing time takes a hit and he still has 9 sacks, like, fuck yes, please sign me up.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know that his playing time is going to take as much of a hit as you think, though, because you're still working Bradley Chubb back from an injury. You're working Jaelan Phillips back from an injury. And those two guys have proven themselves to be exceptionally injury prone throughout the course of their careers. So you kind of want to preserve them a little bit, which means you throw in the young boy. You throw in the young boy, and you let him cook.
Let him feast.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to move on to the next guy here, Bradley Chubb. So Bradley Chubb, another edge rusher. Obviously, the Dolphins got him to trade with the Denver Broncos. They traded a first-round pick for him. And for most of his tenure with the Dolphins, he really hadn't paid off. That first-round pick hadn't really paid off. But right prior to his injury, and it's just a cruel reality, but right prior to his injury, he was playing out of his mind. Like he was all over the field. You know, go ahead, Josh.
No, I don't mean to interrupt you, but talk about just being a Dolphins fan, right?
Yeah.
You have a player in Bradley Chubb that was playing better than he probably ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, what did he have? Like before his injury, he had 6 or something, an insane amount of sacks in a short amount of time.
Yeah, but he was also just like making plays behind the line of scrimmage in the running game, batting balls down. Like the 3 games prior to him getting injured, or the month prior to him getting injured, I was noticing him, and he was impossible not to notice. He was just all over the field.
Yep.
And then he goes down with an injury in garbage time in a game that he shouldn't have even been playing in at that point.
Yeah. Typical Mike McDaniel fashion, refusing to pull your players out when you need to.
Well, talk to us more about. I just depressed myself.
No, don't be. Honestly, man, look, there's no reason to be depressed, right? I mean, I know there's a slew of Miami Dolphins fans that are like, this was a waste of a pick. I can't believe it. Blah blah blah. Yeah, sure, fine, okay. He got injured. Shit happens, right? Yeah, we gave up a first round pick and we gave him a giant extension. Okay, yeah, well, you know what? That's the price of playing business, right? That's the price you pay to play, right?
Yeah.
And Bradley Chubb he was born in 1996. He's going, I think if I'm doing my math right, he's turning 29 or 30 in this coming year. So he's not old, you know, in definitely not old for a normal standard, but from an NFL standard, he's hitting that kind of late stage of his prime, if you will. Right. So Bradley Chubb, if he could stay healthy, he could play another 5, 6 years, 7 years.
You don't trade a first round pick for a guy and not give him an extension. That's just not how it works in the NFL.
No. And you saw what his impact could be before his injury. And I genuinely believe, as frustrating as it was to see, as frustrating as it was to be told the complete opposite of reality from the Miami Dolphins at every chance that they got, that he's coming back, he's fine, he's almost there, for him to be out all year. I think that's where a lot of the animosity comes from a fan base. It's like, you know, well, why? What was it on Chubb? Was Chubb the one that didn't come back? I mean, there's all of these questions that I've seen, when the reality is a player of his size, of his age, that plays the position that he needs, that needs the explosion that these players need to do what they do, especially him and the way he plays. I'm glad that he took the year. Take the year, get fully healed so that maybe it won't snap again, right? And you saw before pre-injury, like you just alluded to, Keith, his impact is non-negotiable, right? I mean, you can't sit it. When you say Bradley Chubb, it is synonymous with impact on the Miami Dolphins. Now, you can not like the fact that he got injured. Well, I'm sorry, like that shit happens, right?
Yeah.
He could break a leg walking down the stairs in the morning, right? This is a violent sport. These things happen. It was unfortunate, but I'm glad that he's coming back, and I'm glad that now we had discussions earlier in the offseason. Well, what do we do with Bradley Chubb? Do we restructure? Do we cut him? Do we do this? So, you know, if we were to have done that, I would have been okay with it too, because I would have understood that it was for a purpose, right? We restructured to get cap flexibility, or we cut them or traded them to get cap flexibility so we could do X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But we didn't. He's on the team. I'm happy about it. In either of those scenarios, I was going to be happy. So I like that he's coming back.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, there is something to be said for Bradley Chubb sitting out the season.
Mhm.
Jaelan Phillips, the guy we're going to talk about next, he didn't sit out the season. And he came back, in a lot of people's estimation, maybe a little too early. And
Mhm.
he got hurt again. He got injured again. I don't
Mhm.
know if that was because he came back too early. I don't know why. But I do know this. It couldn't have helped.
And
Couldn't have
don't
helped.
forget, he being Chubb took a pay cut to
Yeah.
stay with Miami, right? So after his pay cut and his restructure, which we
Yeah.
did this offseason, his base salary, he has a base salary of 1.25 million with prorated bonuses and things like that. His cap hit essentially for this year is 12.32, which that's outstanding.
Yeah.
If he's back full at even 90% of what he was pre-injury.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Taylor, talk to us a little bit more about Bradley Chubb here.
So, since I wasn't here for the Chop thing, gonna kind of tie in my thoughts on Chop with Bradley Chubb because I do think they are kind of connected. Because Bradley Chubb didn't play all last year, and the whole reason, Josh, you kind of outlined it very well. Go and get an impact player like Bradley Chubb. What he has produced on the football field, I think, is really good football. I don't think it's outstanding. We can talk about whether it was worth the total amount that he got on that contract, but I think he's been a really good member of the Miami Dolphins. But what I think he was, I don't want to say primarily, but at least a factor in why he was traded for was to accelerate the development of Jaelan Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
To be a guy who could be the number one edge rusher, let Phillips be on the opposite end, and hopefully give him a little bit of confidence, get going, being the other guy who's not getting double teamed on the line. And it kind of turns out that Chop Robinson, I think, has the prime opportunity, to use a McDaniel word here, opportunity, to be the guy on this line, opposite of Bradley Chubb. And I find that very interesting. Now, getting into Bradley Chubb into 2025, 29 years old, you guys talked about it, missed all of 2024 with a torn ACL, suffered in late 2023, 0 games played. So I got absolutely nothing to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to 2023. 16 games played, 45 solo tackles, 73 total tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 6 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 11 sacks, 33 pressures, 9 hurries, 11 QB knockdowns, 1 batted pass,
And a partridge in a pear tree.
and a partridge in a pear tree. But no, he had a 16.1 missed tackle percentage, which is also the same as Chop had last year as well. Mm-hmm. He is a 2-time Pro Bowler. So, man, I think he had an exceptional 2023. And him going out with that injury, I think that's the main thing. Like that, of all the things Mike McDaniel, I think, has messed up, of all the great things he's done too, to me, leaving Chubb out there in that Ravens game, garbage time, is one of the dumbest things he's done as coach.
Yeah, and I do not want this conversation to spill off into Mike McDaniel, right? But I will just say this. This was something that Mike McDaniel needs to fix, right? This is a serious problem because this is not just a one-time event, right? This is something that's happened since he's been in Miami. He's left players in blowouts. It's like, dude, there's no possible way that what last year's iteration of, or whatever it was, 2 years ago's iteration of Miami is going to come back, whatever it was. We were down by like 40 something points. Like, pull your starters, put your rookies, put your backups in, and it is what it is, right? This is the equivalent of Tua learning to throw the ball away and live to die another play, right? And hopefully he's learned, right? Because Taylor, you nailed it, right? I mean, Bradley Chubb being left into that game is a serious problem, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that his impact on this team, both in the locker room from a veteran standpoint and what he was brought in to do, which he does very well, which is rush the passer and stop the run. The fact that he got injured and wasn't on the field for a year and a half, essentially, right? When you combine the time that he was out, or ish, give or take, that's a problem, right? That's where the animosity from the fan base comes when Bradley Chubb's name gets cut out. I haven't seen it's recency bias in my opinion, right? It's I haven't seen him in a year and a half. He's garbage. This dude, when he's on the field and when he's healthy and when he's locked in, is one of the top linebackers in this league, in my opinion.
Yeah. He's
also asked to play in coverage a lot as well, which is like you guys talked about Chop Robinson and him playing a little bit in coverage. I don't want to see Chop Robinson in coverage. This guy is a pure edge rusher. You want to see him get some sacks. You want to see him behind the line of scrimmage. Chubb is somebody I think has played so long, he can actually do that. And then he could edge rush as well. Like he's somebody I think you can plug and play in various different spots.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing's for sure, based on what I saw from Chop Robinson last year, based on what I saw from, guys like Emmanuel Ogbah last year, I'm excited to see Bradley Chubb in this Anthony Weaver scheme. I'm excited to see what Chubb can do. Last thing I want to ask you guys about Chubb, I'm going to pose this to both of you guys. How much of an impact do you see Bradley Chubb having this year? He's taken a year and a half off. Do you see him hitting the ground running? Do you see him coming back slowly? How do you see this season going for him? Taylor, I'll start with you on this one.
I think he's going to have a good year. I really do, especially he had that extra time, didn't play in 2024. You have Chop on the other side, who I said at the start of this thing, I think he has a great opportunity to be the guy on this edge rushers list here. Hell, we started out our conversation talking about Chubb. Not talking about Jaelan Phillips, not Bradley Chubb, Chop Robinson.
There's a reason for that.
If he could, there's a reason for that. And I think if he can emerge as the guy and Chubb can now be the complementary piece to that, that's really interesting to me.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Josh?
Yeah, for me, I like to do my projections. Right. And I think I'm not going to give hard numbers, right? Because that's difficult, right? But I think if he can stay healthy all 17 games, right? I think that's important, right? If he can get over, I have him in the 55, 60 total tackle range, 8 to 9 sacks. I think that would be a very successful season for him coming back from what he did, right? Yeah. If he can get anywhere close to those, 17 games being the key one for me, but anywhere close to 60 total tackles and 8 sacks, I think we can say, you know what, where some of us not on this show, but some of us being the royal us might think, well, you guys overpaid at 110 million over 5 years. That's okay. It's not my money. I don't really care what the dude makes and who he got paid as long as he's producing on the field. And I think if he can stay healthy and get sacks and get tackles, that's what he's getting paid for. And I think he will. I really do.
Yeah. I think so too. I'm hoping for stats similar to that, Josh.
Yeah.
So from Bradley Chubb, we go to Jaelan Phillips, who this guy is the true wild card of this year. I don't know what we're gonna. I don't even look. Jaelan Phillips tore his Achilles tendon in 2023 in garbage time in the Jets game. Like, he shouldn't have been on the field for that one either. And then in 2024, he comes back maybe a little early. But, the play he got injured on was a freak accident. It was a freak play. It was Jordan freaking Poyer who did it to him. As if I couldn't hate that guy anymore. But Jaelan Phillips, he's coming back again from a torn ACL from last season. Coming back from an Achilles from the 2023 season. This is a wild card. I don't know what to expect from him. I know this guy's a physical freak. I know this guy is built like a Greek god. He's built like Adonis. So what do you think here, Josh? I don't really know what to expect from this guy.
Yeah, this is the guy, right? This is I think you coined it perfectly, right? This is the wild card, right? Yeah. We have a known commodity, albeit still relatively young in Chop Robinson. We have a commodity in Bradley Chubb that if he's healthy, we know what we could expect. With Jaelan Phillips, who the hell knows, right? Yeah. It's been 2 straight years with season-ending, 2 or 3, I can't remember, years with season-ending, I think it's 2, season-ending injuries. he's still under a rookie deal, under his rookie deal, not deer.
Yeah.
Jesus. I believe he's going into his 5th option. The team has not, we picked up the fifth option, but we have not even started contract conversations yet, to my knowledge. And that's understandable, right? Because if you take the injury history out of the equation, which I know you can't, but just, entertain me here for a minute. If you take the injury history out of the equation for Jaelan Phillips, this dude would be one of the top edge rushers in the league, breaking all kinds of records by the end of his career. I genuinely believe he has that kind of talent. Like you said, he's built like a Greek god. He is tenacious. He's a hard worker. He's a grinder. He's the kind that just keeps his mouth shut and puts his helmet into somebody's chest, no matter who it is, will do whatever you ask of him, puts in the effort, really understood what it was to be a professional NFL football player, which seems logical, seems like something that would make a lot of sense, but there have been plenty of players that would have shown you the contrary. Yeah. And it was really great to see a player come in and make the impact that he did.
Yeah.
But the problem with Jaelan, as we all know, is his injury history, right? I mean, you fart the wrong way in the wind and there's another ACL, right? Yeah. And obviously I'm joking, but it's a serious thing, right? And on the show and on other shows that I've been part of and that I've listened to and things like that, Jaelan Phillips' name is synonymous with, well, what do you do with him after this year? Do you resign him? Do you trade him? Do you try to get what you can in this past off season? Do you stick with it and hope to God he stays healthy? And I mean, there's so many things, right? And for a player that's coming back from his 2nd serious injury in the pros and his 4th major injury in his collegiate career plus pros, he's got a $13.25 million cap hit in the 5th year rookie option or rookie deal, right? The fifth year option of his rookie deal. Jeez, I can't talk today, guys. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I can tell you that I think he'll have a relatively good season if he stays healthy, because he's shown that he can. Mm-hmm. But that's a big if. I think, and this might be a hot take, I think it's a bigger if than if Tua stays healthy.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you. Now, let's keep in mind Jaelan Phillips, his first 2 seasons in the NFL, he was healthy. Mm-hmm. He played in all 17 games. 8.5 sacks, 7, and 8.5 sacks, 7 sacks, and you could tell he was really starting. He was getting ready to pop off. I think that's what he was doing in 2023 prior to his Achilles tear. Mm-hmm. So
he popped off.
Yeah. Oh, wow. But no, like Taylor, talk to us about injuries here. Talk to us about projections. Like, give us some stats here on Jaelan Phillips.
You guys nailed it too when you were talking about that. Phillips it's always been if with him because of the injuries that he's had. He's put up some production, and you can tell like if he played the rest of those games, the production will look so much better. Like, instead of it's just like, you can see there's a breakout player there. Mm-hmm. But the all-star, Pro Bowl, all-pro kind of production isn't. And it's because of those injuries. And that dates back to college, by the way.
Yes,
to his days at UCLA and Miami. Mm-hmm. And he's 26 years old, though. And that's something I think a lot of people lose track of with his injury. So he's still really young. He missed the majority of 2024 with a torn ACL. Played 4 games. He had 2 solo tackles, 6 total tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 0 forced fumbles, 0 fumble recoveries, 1 sack, 2 pressures, 1 hurry, 0 knockdowns, 1 batted pass, 1 missed tackle, a missed tackle rate of 14.3. And the last thing I guess I'll say about 2024 is, thankfully, I didn't see him go down in that Tennessee game, because I wasn't Hurricane Helene hit, so my power was out for like a week and a half, and thankfully I didn't have to see that Titans game.
That was shitty all around.
Yeah, it was. I did have to see that Titans game, and I saw what Jordan Poyer did. So, and look, Jordan Poyer was trying to make a play. I'm not trying to dog the guy, but Jordan Poyer was not our favorite player all season. He was bad for the Dolphins all season long. and he was the one who missed a tackle, dove into Jaelan Phillips' knee, and toward the ACL.
A double agent.
Yeah, yeah. So I think to Josh's point, and I'm going to actually retract what I said a little bit earlier when I said that maybe Jaelan Phillips' ACL injury was due to coming back a little bit too soon from the Achilles injury. That probably wasn't the case. I think what we're talking about here is an unfortunate Achilles injury and a freak accident with the ACL. I'm not saying he's going to be totally healthy. I'm not saying he's going to play all 17 games for the Dolphins this season. But I think what we're going to look at, I think we're looking at with Jaelan Phillips is a guy who was working his way back in 2024. And we're going to be seeing the same kind of thing in 2020 in 2025. I think this season you're going to start off with Bradley Chubb and Chop Robinson playing the majority of the snaps on the edge. And Jaelan Phillips is going to work his way in. And by the end of the season, it's going to be, kind of an even split with these three guys as to who's going to be out there during pass rushing situations. I think ideally, if you're the Dolphins, in pass rushing situations, you have Chop Robinson on one side, Jaelan Phillips on the other side, screaming around the edge and terrifying quarterbacks. I think that's what the Dolphins are going to be looking for by week 17 this season.
I'd like to see Chubb and Phillips as linebackers, outside linebackers, and Chop on the line as an end.
And look, if you got all three of those guys rushing the passer at the same time, first of all, who do you double team? Best of luck to you, offensive coordinators across the NFL.
Yeah.
But secondly, if I'm a quarterback, I don't know what to do. I honestly, so this is the dream scenario. This is the scenario where we say this should be the strength of the Dolphins unit this year. The edge rushers. If these three guys manage to stay healthy, if these three guys demonstrate the abilities that we've seen them have in the past, this is going to be a terrifying group of pass rushers. By the end of the season.
What sucks? What sucks about that is I bet we were all thinking that last year as well. Yeah. And with Chop as a rookie, it was, hey, you got the wild card in Chop, and now it's the wild card in Phillips. But it's always, again, on paper, this is such a good room.
Yeah,
because of the main three guys.
I mean, if they hit our sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's just like in execution, you are just praying to the football gods, please stay healthy. And Josh, you said Jaelan Phillips, you have more concerns about his injury status than Tua?
Whether or not he can stay healthy. Yeah, I would be more concerned that Jaelan Phillips stays healthy than Tua this coming season.
I don't know if I totally agree with that, but I'll tell you what, it's very close. That's how bad both players have been with injuries.
Yeah. And look, if even if they come close to the projections, right, that we have for them, that would mean that you get 26 sacks, or in your case, Keith, 29 sacks between three players.
Yeah.
That'd be a hell of a thing to get.
Right? Not too shabby. And, you're also talking about a bunch of QB hurries. You're talking about pressures. You're talking about, speeding the quarterback up. And frankly, we're going to get into our secondary, in our next episode and everything. But frankly, this group of edge rushers needs to cook. This group of edge rushers really needs to come together.
And the defensive line as a whole.
As a whole. In order to kind of, and you know what, let's just say the whole front seven. This whole front seven needs to be an elite group to kind of mask the secondary's deficiencies.
Well, and by secondaries, we do mean cornerbacks, because I actually am a huge fan of our safety room now.
Well, we'll get into we'll get into our secondary. I'm not trying to get
it's a great point though, Keith, especially for this edge rusher room, because there is a conversation about, do edge rushers make the secondary? Can it mask a bad secondary? Can it make the secondary better? And vice versa, by the way.
Well,
that's something I go back to the Legion of Boom. I wasn't overly thrilled about the pass rush the Legion of Boom had. They had such a strong secondary. I think it made the pass rush look so much better. And I think the opposite is definitely a thing too. So if this pass rush can come together, and as you say, Keith, the front seven, Kenneth Grant, Zach Sealer, all them, if they can end up succeeding and being at least good, I think this secondary can at least be passable. But again, we'll get into all that whenever we get into the secondary. And there's a lot of flaws there to talk about.
Yeah, but I also think you can go back to the early 2000s Dolphins with Sam Madison, Patrick Surtain at cornerback, Brock Marion at safety, Jason Taylor and Kenny Mixon coming off the edge, and then Adewale Ogunleye. He was traded to the Bears later on, but he had a great season for the Dolphins. That Dolphins pass rush, Jason Taylor won Defensive Player of the Year for the Dolphins. This Dolphins pass rush, I think we need it to be that good. I don't think we need, we don't need a Jason Taylor type player getting Defensive Player of the Year or anything, but I think what we need is 3 guys who make a quarterback uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Can they be Cam Wake and Joey Porter?
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable quarterbacks. I don't care who you are. Uncomfortable quarterbacks make mistakes. Uncomfortable quarterbacks throw the ball where it shouldn't be thrown. So that's what I'm looking for from these 3 guys. I'm going to get into a 4th guy here, Mo Kamara. Mo Kamara was drafted by the Dolphins in the 5th round. We didn't really see a lot of him. We saw him on special teams more so than anything. I don't have a lot to say about him because he didn't really see the field for the Dolphins last year, which is kind of a bad harbinger of things to come because, if he couldn't see the field based on who the Dolphins edge rushers were last season, what kind of confidence do we have that he's going to see the field this year? So, Josh, talk to us a little bit more about Muhammad Kamara.
Yeah, I was a big fan of his, especially in the preseason, right? I think, you look at him coming out of, what was it, Colorado State, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
He was Defensive Player of the Year for the Mountain West in 2023, 13 sacks. I mean, this guy has all the tools, right? He's big, he's fast, he's strong as an ox, right? And he was going to be the thunder to Chop Robinson's lightning, right? I'm not saying that these two are on the same level, but that's kind of what it was touted as, right? We got a steal in the draft with Mo Kamara. He was big, he was fast, he was angry, he was nasty.
Going to be the guy on the edge rusher room that he can plug in and play.
Yeah.
If Jaelan Phillips and Bradley Chubb can't right now, throw in Mo Kamara. He's ready to go more than Chop Robinson is.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, that was a complete lie.
Yeah, and I don't think that's an indictment on Mo Kamara. I really don't.
I think it's more on Chop. I really do.
Yeah, I do. And I think that's great. I think the fact that I actually think it benefited Mo Kamara in the sense that he got a full year to really, he played special teams and he played some sparing snaps in the games, but I thought it was great that he has now has a full year in an NFL weight room with NFL coaches, with NFL training staff, with NFL, health coaches and personal chefs that I read an article that he hired a personal chef to make sure he was in prime position to start or to play if it ever came about. He got into the film room. He was able to pick the brains of all the veterans. He got with the coaches. You could see it, right? You could see him doing the things. You read the reports. You watched the Miami Dolphins videos. And I just saw recently that Pro Football Focus has him as a top 2025 breakout candidate. So, especially in pass rushing, right? Because I think what he does well. If you go back to watch him in college, his power to speed transition is, I use it candidly and I use it kind of jokingly, but is breathtaking, right? Because this dude can lift a car and then just shifts it off and bursts up the whole. It's awesome to watch when it all comes together. So, if he has to play any significant snaps this year due to injury, knock on wood, I won't feel like I did when we had to put Duke Riley in linebacker, or when we had Jordan Poyer back there, or when we had to watch, who was our favorite tight end that we all like? I can't even say his name.
Julian Hill.
Yes.
Julian Hill. Yeah.
That person who I will not mention ever by name, right? I would feel actually pretty comfortable, right? Yes, unknown with Mo Kamara, very unknown, but the talent is there. The potential is there. So now we just need to make sure, and he needs to make sure that he puts it together.
Well, this should be a low pressure environment for him to walk into this year. He should come in as at least the 4th guy on the pecking order.
Yeah.
In the pecking order.
Maybe even the 5th with
Yeah.
another guy we'll talk about in the linebacker room who is kind of like a hybrid.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So, Taylor, talk to us a little bit more about Muhammad Kamara.
yeah. Josh, by the way, you mentioned a speed to power thing. He's a bit undersized too, isn't he? 6'2",
Maybe a tad. Maybe a tad.
I mean, undersized, right? I'm 5'10", so
yeah. Well,
no.
undersized comparably to guys like Jaelan Phillips. You know?
I'm just messing with
Brother.
you.
Yeah.
Jaelan Phillips, who's 6'6" and built like a Greek god. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
undersized. Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, he is 6'1.5", but he's 253.
Yeah.
So he's a bowling ball of a human being.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I remember looking at him at Colorado State going like, man, like on paper, he's a guy that you're like, I don't know if he's going to make it. And then you watch the film and you're just going, he's one of the best edge rushers in this class. He goes all the way to the 5th round. It feels similar to like the Malik Washington pick too, to where you watch Malik Washington and you're like, that's 3rd round pick right there. I get he's not as fast, but he's insanely good in almost every facet of the game.
Yeah.
But unlike
it reminds me this year of Phillips, Jordan Phillips.
Yeah.
Right, where you're like, holy crap, how the hell did we get this guy in this round?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jordan. Yeah. But Mo Kamara, 26 years old, no injuries last year, played in 5 games, no solo tackles, 1 total tackle, and pretty much no other stats apart from that. Going to college, though, because I do have his 2023 college football stats. Played in 12 games, 29 solo tackles, 56 total, 17 tackles for loss.
Yeah.
Total 4 fumbles, 2, and he had 1 fumble recovery with 13 sacks. And Josh, you noted he was the 2023 Midwestern Conference Defensive Player of the Year in 2023.
Is it Mountain West, right? That's the
Mountain West. Yeah, Mountain West. My bad. Yeah, like you guys said too, like he's somebody that's just brimming with potential. I don't know if it's like potential to be even a starter in the league, but he's brimming with potential to at least be a contributor on the team, better than what he was last season, which was non-existent on the defensive side of the ball.
And the problem I have with Mo Kamara is that he was supposed to be the pro-ready one. He was supposed to be more pro-ready than Chop Robinson, and yet we didn't see him on the field. We saw him in special teams a little bit, and that's all well and good. But the Dolphins' edge rushing room was a triage unit, same as 2023, and yet we still didn't see Muhammad Kamara. So what I'm looking for this year is a little bit of progression. He's still going to be playing special teams probably. But I'm looking for a little bit of progression. I'm looking for, should there be an injury along the edge rushing, should Chop Robinson or Bradley Chubb or Jaelan Phillips have to miss a game or two, I'm looking to see Muhammad Kamara on the edge. And I'm looking to see him at the very least hold his own, maybe make a play or two. But that's what we're talking about with Mo Kamara. He is the 4th option.
Yeah, and I'd be careful saying like, oh, it was a disappointment because he was supposed to be pro ready. Physically, he was pro ready. We have no idea what he was going to be mentally, and I think that's where he lacked, right? Because I'm not shading the Mountain West, right? I'm sure there are great players, Mo Kamara being one of them, right? But
it's not being another.
Yeah, it's not the SEC, it's not the ACC, it's not the Big 12 or Big 10 or whatever the hell it's called now. So, I can understand saying this guy is physically pro ready, right? Which is what everyone was saying. And him coming in and be like, dude, I have no idea what's going on, right? I'm playing against a bunch of the best Georgia and Alabama players in the history every week, and him just not being there mentally, right? Understanding the flow of the game, the speed of the game, the mind games that offensive line plays against defensive ends and defensive tackles. And that's what that kind of points to what I said earlier, where if he had a full year of practices against some of the, against a very good offensive tackle who is no longer with us, right? Not that he's dead. I shouldn't have done that. But
the way you did that was a little.
But I mean, I'm going to miss him, right? Because
Armstead okay?
Yeah, but I mean, Teron Armstead was this kind of beacon of professionalism on our team, right? This beacon of technique and and being and knowing how to be a pro's pro, and I that's is gone, right? But I do like the fact that Mo Kamara and there were reports that he got into the offensive line meeting rooms and was asking them all kinds of questions and techniques and getting with some of the veterans, stopgap veterans that were on this team about, hey, well, what do I do if this happens? And they were all of these kind of conversations. So I think we see a much pro ready Mo Kamara this year than we did last year.
Yeah.
This is all contingent on the coaching staff playing him though.
Yeah.
And that's also key because that's an excellent point, Josh, by the way. But also, he's coming into a coaching staff that who knows how they wanted to use him, who knows what they thought of him as well. He has to fit into Weaver's scheme, and he's now in year 2 of Weaver's scheme. Something, by the way, this entire Dolphins defense, I'm sure they're very ecstatic about having a defensive coordinator who's actually sticking around for a second season. So that's nice.
I don't know if there's going to be a third, but yeah.
He might be on the team. He might be on the team just in a different capacity.
Yeah. Well, that's a different conversation for a different episode. Other names to talk about, Grayson Murphy, Quentin Bell, Cameron Good. These are all guys that kind of played a rotational role. Quentin Bell, especially last year, saw a lot more time than Mo Kamara on the football field. These are all guys that I think the Dolphins that could contribute. I don't know how much. But I think with Chop Robinson, Bradley Chubb, Jaelan Phillips, Mo Kamara, I think those are our top 4 guys in the edge room. If we see a lot of Grayson Murphy or Quentin Bell or Cameron Good, that means things have gone horribly wrong. And
I have seen some good things about Grayson Murphy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Grayson
Murphy.
Yeah, exactly. Before his injury. So I don't want to, I honestly don't want to see a lot of Grayson Murphy on the football field or Quentin.
Oh, I wouldn't either.
I don't.
Just wanted to give a little bit of love to
but I will say of all of the names you mentioned, I can see him sticking around though.
Yes.
I mean, he was great in the preseason.
Yeah, he was.
He really was.
He was. So look, that's our Edge show right now. Look, who do you guys like? Please subscribe. Tell us what you think of these guys. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. This is a very intriguing edge room. This is a very talented edge room. This is an edge room that I don't know that any of us truly know what to expect from it this season. But I'm hoping and not expecting. I'm hoping for good things, because if this group plays to its potential, I think this Dolphins defense could be a really good one this season.
Well, yeah, and not to beat the dead horse with the stick here, but we kind of need them to be good, given what our secondary room looks like right now. Now there are the reports, when we'll talk about them on the next show, when we talk about our secondary. However, to your point earlier, this is a key. If there's going to be a season where our defensive ends and our linebackers show up and stay healthy and play like we think and know they can, it's this upcoming season, because God knows we're going to need them.
Absolutely. So, let us know what you guys think about our edge rushers. How many sacks do you think they can get? How integral do you think they are to the Dolphins defense? Please let us know in the comments. But we will see you next time, and we'll be talking about off-ball linebackers.